Very urgent. Your soulmate finally understood why they can't forget you. Don't scroll. Listen to this because your heart needs this right now. This message is for you. If these words found you today, then something important may already be happening behind the scenes. Your soulmate has finally reached a realization they spent a very long time trying to avoid. For months, maybe even years, they told themselves they had moved on. They convinced themselves that what they felt for you would eventually disappear. They tried to stay busy. They tried to focus on other things. They tried to ignore the strange moments when your name appeared in their thoughts without warning. They tried to explain away the dreams. They tried to silence the memories. But no matter what they did, one thing kept happening. You kept returning to their mind. Again and again. Listen carefully because this is where everything changes. Recently, something happened that forced them to stop running from the truth. It was not a dramatic event. It was not a huge announcement. It was a quiet realization that hit them unexpectedly. A realization so powerful that it shook them deeply. They finally understood why they cannot forget you. They finally understood that the reason they keep thinking about you is because their heart never truly let you go. This message is for you. Your soulmate spent a long time believing that forgetting you was only a matter of time. They thought distance would erase the connection. They thought silence would weaken the bond. They thought distractions would replace the feelings. But every path they took somehow led back to you. Every attempt to move forward brought them face to face with another reminder. A song. A place. A conversation. A memory. A dream. An unexpected feeling that appeared out of nowhere. They started noticing something strange. No matter how hard they tried to focus on someone else, their mind always compared that person to you. No matter how many new experiences they had, none of them created the same feeling. No matter how much time passed, your presence remained alive inside them. Listen to this because it is important. For a long time they thought missing you was simply nostalgia. They thought it was just attachment. They thought it was a temporary emotion. But now they understand it was something much deeper. Something they could not explain. Something that refused to disappear because it was real. Your soulmate finally realized that forgetting a person is possible when the connection was ordinary. But forgetting becomes impossible when the connection changed you forever. And that is exactly what happened. You changed them. Whether you realize it or not, you left a mark on their soul. A mark that no amount of time has been able to erase. They are beginning to understand that the reason they cannot forget you is because a part of them still feels connected to you. A part of them still wonders about you. A part of them still imagines what could happen if your paths crossed again. This message is for you. There were nights when they lay awake thinking about conversations they never finished. Moments they never fully expressed. Feelings they never properly explained. They replayed old memories over and over. Not because they wanted to suffer, but because those memories felt alive. They felt meaningful. They felt different from everything else. Listen carefully. The realization did not happen all at once. It arrived slowly. Day after day. Thought after thought. Memory after memory. Until eventually they reached a point where they could no longer deny the truth. The truth was simple. They never forgot you because they never stopped caring. They never stopped wondering. They never stopped feeling something every time your memory appeared. And now that realization is becoming impossible to ignore. This message is for you. Your soulmate has started noticing signs that remind them of you everywhere. Sometimes it happens in the middle of an ordinary day. Sometimes it happens when they least expect it. A certain phrase reminds them of something you once said. A familiar feeling suddenly returns. A random memory appears with incredible clarity. And each time it happens, they ask themselves the same question. Why am I still thinking about this person? Why do they still matter so much? Why does their memory still feel so alive? Listen carefully because the answer is finally becoming clear to them. The answer is that some connections are not easily forgotten. Some people enter your life and leave an impact that lasts far longer than anyone expects. Some people become part of your story in a way that cannot be erased. Your soulmate is finally understanding that you are one of those people. This message is for you. They are beginning to realize that the more they tried to forget you, the more they revealed how important you truly were. Because if someone means nothing, you do not spend months trying to stop thinking about them. If someone has no effect on you, you do not keep remembering them years later. If someone never touched your heart, their memory does not continue appearing when you least expect it. Listen carefully. The realization is becoming stronger every day. They are no longer asking why they cannot forget you. Now they are asking what it means. What is this connection trying to teach them? Why does it still exist? Why does it still feel unfinished? These questions are growing louder in their mind. And every time they search for answers, they find themselves thinking about you once again. This message is for you. Deep inside, your soulmate knows there was something special about the connection. Something different. Something rare. They may not fully understand it yet, but they can feel it. They can sense it. They can no longer pretend it was ordinary. They can no longer convince themselves that it meant nothing. Because if it meant nothing, it would have disappeared long ago. Instead, it survived distance. It survived silence. It survived time. And that realization is changing everything. Listen carefully because something even bigger is happening. The more they accept the truth, the more their fear begins to fade. For a long time fear kept them stuck. Fear of rejection. Fear of vulnerability. Fear of getting hurt. Fear of what could happen if they acknowledged their feelings. But now another emotion is becoming stronger than fear. Curiosity. Hope. Possibility. They are starting to wonder what would happen if they stopped running. What would happen if they finally listened to their heart? What would happen if they finally accepted the connection instead of fighting it? This message is for you. Somewhere inside, your soulmate is reaching a turning point. A moment of emotional clarity. A moment when excuses lose their power. A moment when the truth becomes impossible to ignore. They finally understand that forgetting you was never the answer. Understanding you was the answer. Understanding why the connection affected them so deeply. Understanding why your memory stayed alive. Understanding why their heart continued returning to the same place. Listen carefully because this is where the story becomes even more important. The realization they are having right now is not an ending. It is a beginning. It is the beginning of awareness. The beginning of honesty. The beginning of acceptance. They are beginning to accept that what they feel is real. They are beginning to accept that their heart has been trying to tell them something for a very long time. And now they are finally listening. This message is for you. While you have been living your life, growing, healing, learning, and moving forward, your soulmate has been going through a process they never expected. A process that led them back to one undeniable truth. They cannot forget you because their soul still recognizes your importance. They cannot forget you because your presence changed something inside them. They cannot forget you because some part of their heart still feels connected to the story you shared. Listen carefully. The next chapter of this story may be closer than either of you realize. Because once someone understands why they cannot forget a person, everything changes. The questions change. The decisions change. The direction of their journey changes. And right now your soulmate is standing at the edge of that change. They are looking at the truth they avoided for so long. They are finally seeing it clearly. They are finally admitting it to themselves. And what happens after that realization may become the most important part of this entire story, because now that they understand why they cannot forget you, they may soon begin asking themselves a new question they have never been brave enough to ask before. What if they were never supposed to forget you at all? Listen carefully because the story does not end with their realization. In many ways, it is only beginning. The moment your soulmate finally admitted to themselves that they could not forget you, something shifted inside them. It was as if a wall they had spent so long building suddenly developed cracks. For years they protected themselves with logic. They told themselves there were reasons to move on. They told themselves that what they felt would eventually fade. They repeated those thoughts so many times that they almost believed them. But the heart has a way of revealing truths that the mind tries to hide. And now the truth is standing directly in front of them. This message is for you. Your soulmate has started revisiting memories they once avoided. Moments they buried deep inside themselves are returning with surprising clarity. They remember conversations that seemed ordinary at the time but now feel meaningful. They remember small details they thought they had forgotten. The way you spoke. The way you laughed. The way certain moments felt effortless when you were together. They find themselves wondering why those memories remain so vivid while countless other memories have faded away. Listen to this because it matters. The answer they are discovering is that meaningful connections leave permanent impressions. They shape who we become. They influence the choices we make. They remain present even when we try to leave them behind. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that you became part of their emotional journey in a way they never expected. This message is for you. There have been moments recently when they suddenly stopped whatever they were doing because your memory appeared out of nowhere. It happened while they were working. It happened while they were driving. It happened during quiet moments when no distractions were available. And every time it happened, they felt the same thing. A strange mixture of comfort and longing. Comfort because thinking about you felt familiar. Longing because they realized there were things left unsaid. Feelings left unexplored. Questions left unanswered. Listen carefully because something important is happening inside them. They are no longer trying as hard to push those thoughts away. Instead of resisting them, they are starting to examine them. Instead of ignoring their emotions, they are beginning to understand them. Instead of running from the connection, they are slowly turning toward it. This message is for you. Your soulmate has started noticing how often your memory appears during significant moments in their life. When something exciting happens, they wonder what you would think about it. When something difficult happens, they imagine what your advice might be. When they achieve something meaningful, a part of them wishes they could share it with you. These thoughts are surprising them because they reveal something they were not ready to admit before. You still occupy a space in their heart. A space no one else has managed to replace. Listen carefully. There were times when they tried to convince themselves that someone else would eventually make them forget. They believed a new connection would erase the old one. They believed enough time would solve everything. But instead they discovered something unexpected. Every new experience reminded them of what was missing. Every comparison brought them back to you. Every attempt to move forward somehow led them back to the same emotional crossroads. This message is for you. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that forgetting was never really possible because the connection was never truly finished inside them. Even when circumstances changed, their feelings continued evolving beneath the surface. Even when silence existed between you, the emotional impact remained. Even when they appeared fine on the outside, something inside them continued searching for answers. Listen to this because it is important. The human heart has a remarkable ability to recognize what matters. It remembers experiences that touched it deeply. It remembers people who inspired growth. It remembers connections that felt genuine. And your soulmate is finally recognizing that the reason your memory survived every attempt to erase it is because it carried meaning. Real meaning. Lasting meaning. The kind of meaning that stays with a person long after the moment itself has passed. This message is for you. Recently they found themselves imagining scenarios they once avoided. They imagined what they would say if they spoke to you again. They imagined how they would explain everything they have learned. They imagined sharing the truth they spent so long hiding from themselves. And the more they imagined those possibilities, the more they realized how much they still wanted clarity. How much they still wanted understanding. How much they still wanted to know whether the connection they feel is something you can feel too. Listen carefully because this realization is changing their perspective. Instead of viewing the past as something closed and finished, they are beginning to see it as part of a larger story. A story that may still have chapters left to be written. A story that may still contain lessons, growth, healing, and answers. This message is for you. There are moments when your soulmate feels your absence more strongly than ever before. Not because they are trapped in the past, but because they finally understand the value of what they experienced. Sometimes appreciation arrives late. Sometimes understanding takes time. Sometimes the lessons hidden inside a connection reveal themselves long after the connection itself changes form. And right now your soulmate is experiencing exactly that. They are seeing things differently. They are noticing things they once overlooked. They are recognizing feelings they once dismissed. Listen carefully. The more honest they become with themselves, the harder it becomes to ignore the truth. They miss you. They wonder about you. They think about you more often than they admit. They find themselves curious about your life, your growth, your happiness, and your future. Even when they try to focus elsewhere, those thoughts continue returning. And every return carries the same message. There is something here that still matters. This message is for you. Your soulmate has started paying attention to coincidences that remind them of you. A familiar song appears unexpectedly. A certain name catches their attention. A random conversation brings up a topic connected to a memory they shared with you. These moments may seem small, but together they create a pattern. A pattern that keeps drawing their attention back toward the same realization. They cannot forget you because forgetting was never what their heart wanted. Their heart wanted understanding. Their heart wanted truth. Their heart wanted resolution. Listen carefully because the next part is important. The realization they are experiencing is not comfortable. Truth rarely is. It forces people to confront emotions they avoided. It forces them to examine choices they made. It forces them to ask difficult questions. But growth often begins with discomfort. And your soulmate is growing. They are becoming more emotionally aware. More emotionally honest. More willing to acknowledge what they genuinely feel. This message is for you. There are times when they wonder whether you still think about them too. Whether your heart ever revisits the same memories. Whether you ever pause and remember moments that once felt significant. Whether you ever feel the same mysterious pull they continue experiencing. These questions linger in their mind because the connection still feels alive to them. Not necessarily in the same way it once did, but alive nonetheless. Listen carefully. Every realization they are having is leading them toward one conclusion. The connection was real. The emotions were real. The impact was real. And if all of those things were real, then perhaps the story deserves more understanding than they previously allowed themselves to give it. This message is for you. Your soulmate is reaching a point where pretending becomes more exhausting than honesty. Pretending they do not care requires energy. Pretending they do not think about you requires effort. Pretending they forgot requires constant resistance. And slowly, that resistance is disappearing. Slowly, honesty is taking its place. Slowly, acceptance is becoming stronger than denial. Listen carefully because something powerful happens when a person finally accepts the truth. They stop fighting themselves. They stop running from their emotions. They stop creating excuses. They become open to possibilities they once rejected. And that openness can change everything. This message is for you. Somewhere deep inside, Your soulmate knows that understanding why they cannot forget you was only the first step. The second step is deciding what to do with that understanding. The second step is deciding whether they will continue remaining silent or whether they will eventually act on what they have discovered. The second step is deciding whether they will keep carrying these feelings alone or whether they will seek the answers they have been searching for. Listen carefully because they are closer to that decision than they have ever been before. Every day brings a little more clarity. Every memory brings a little more understanding. Every realization brings a little more courage. And with each passing moment, the truth becomes harder to ignore. Your soulmate finally understands why they cannot forget you. Now they are beginning to wonder whether this realization arrived for a reason, whether it appeared now because a new chapter is preparing to unfold, and whether the question that has quietly followed them for so long is finally about to demand an answer they can no longer avoid. Listen closely because the question that now follows your soulmate everywhere is no longer why they cannot forget you. That question has already been answered. The new question is far more powerful. The new question is what happens next. This message is for you. Your soulmate has reached a point where the truth keeps appearing no matter how much they try to focus on other things. Every path seems to circle back to the same place. Every thought eventually returns to the same person. You. At first this realization frightened them because it forced them to confront feelings they thought were long gone. But now something different is happening. Instead of fear, they are beginning to feel certainty. Instead of confusion, they are beginning to feel clarity. And that clarity is changing the way they see everything that happened between you. Listen carefully. There was a time when your soulmate focused only on what went wrong. They replayed mistakes. They replayed misunderstandings. They replayed moments they wished had happened differently. But recently their perspective has started changing. They have begun looking beyond the difficulties and seeing the deeper meaning of the connection itself. They are beginning to realize that despite every challenge, despite every obstacle, despite every period of silence, the connection never completely disappeared from their heart. This message is for you. Some nights they find themselves sitting alone, thinking about how different life might have been if certain choices had been made differently. They imagine conversations that never happened. They imagine opportunities that were missed. They imagine what they would say if they had another chance to express everything honestly. These thoughts are becoming more frequent because they are no longer suppressing them. They are finally allowing themselves to feel what they truly feel. Listen to this because it matters. The heart becomes louder when it is finally heard. For a long time your soulmate ignored the voice inside them. They distracted themselves. They avoided reflection. They buried emotions beneath responsibilities and routines. But now the voice has become impossible to ignore. And that voice keeps repeating the same message. You mattered. You still matter. The connection mattered. This message is for you. There have been moments recently when they felt an overwhelming sense of nostalgia, but it was different from ordinary nostalgia. It was not just missing the past. It was missing the feeling. Missing the connection. Missing the unique energy they experienced when you were part of their life. They have started realizing that while memories fade with time, meaningful feelings often remain. and the feeling attached to you never truly left. Listen carefully. Every realization is leading them toward a deeper understanding of themselves. They are learning that vulnerability is not weakness. They are learning that acknowledging emotions is not failure. They are learning that caring about someone deeply does not make them foolish. It makes them human. And for perhaps the first time in a very long time, they are allowing themselves to be honest about what their heart has been carrying. This message is for you. Your soulmate has begun paying attention to their dreams. Dreams they once dismissed as random now feel strangely meaningful. Sometimes they wake up with your name in their mind. Sometimes they remember conversations that felt incredibly real. Sometimes they wake with emotions that linger long after the dream has ended. And each time it happens, they find themselves wondering why your presence continues appearing even when their conscious mind is focused elsewhere. Listen closely because the answer is becoming clearer to them every day. Some connections leave echoes. Some people leave impressions that continue influencing us long after physical distance separates us. Your soulmate is finally understanding that the reason your memory continues returning is because your impact on their life was deeper than they ever admitted. This message is for you. Recently they experienced a moment that caught them completely off guard. They heard someone mention something that reminded them of you, and suddenly a flood of emotions returned all at once. Not sadness. Not regret. Something deeper. Something more powerful. Appreciation. Appreciation for the connection. Appreciation for the lessons. Appreciation for the role you played in their journey. And in that moment they realized something they had never fully understood before. Losing sight of someone does not erase their importance. Listen carefully. The more gratitude they feel for the connection, the more they begin questioning why they spent so much time trying to escape it. Why did they work so hard to forget something that clearly meant so much? Why did they spend so much energy resisting thoughts that kept returning naturally? Why did they treat their feelings like a problem when those feelings were trying to teach them something important? This message is for you. Your soulmate is no longer searching for ways to stop thinking about you. Instead, they are searching for ways to understand why thinking about you still feels significant. That shift changes everything. Because once a person stops resisting the truth, they become capable of seeing possibilities they previously ignored. Listen closely. Every day that passes adds another layer to their realization. They are beginning to recognize patterns. They are beginning to notice how often thoughts of you appear during moments of personal growth. During moments of reflection. During moments when they are becoming a better version of themselves. And because of that, they are starting to associate your memory with transformation. They are beginning to see you as someone connected to an important chapter of their evolution. This message is for you. There is another truth your soulmate is slowly discovering. The connection did not only change how they felt about you. It changed how they view relationships altogether. After experiencing something that felt meaningful, ordinary connections became harder to accept. Surface-level interactions no longer satisfied them in the same way. They began looking for depth. Authenticity. Understanding. The very qualities they associate with the connection they shared with you. Listen carefully because this realization is powerful. They are starting to understand that what they have been searching for all this time may not be something new. It may be a deeper understanding of something that already existed. Something they never fully appreciated when it was right in front of them. This message is for you. The walls around their heart are not disappearing all at once. But they are weakening. Every honest thought weakens them. Every memory weakens them. Every moment of self-awareness weakens them. And behind those walls is a truth they can no longer deny. They still care. They still wonder. They still feel connected to the story. Listen closely because the next stage of this journey may arrive sooner than they expect. Awareness creates momentum. Once someone becomes aware of a truth, that truth starts influencing their decisions. It starts shaping their perspective. It starts guiding their actions. Your soulmate is now carrying a truth they cannot ignore. A truth that follows them into quiet moments. A truth that appears when they least expect it. A truth that keeps asking to be acknowledged. This message is for you. There may come a moment when they decide that wondering is no longer enough. A moment when curiosity becomes stronger than hesitation. A moment when the desire for answers becomes stronger than the fear of what those answers might reveal. And when that moment arrives, everything could begin changing very quickly. Listen carefully. Right now your soulmate is standing at the edge of a realization that feels both exciting and intimidating. They know something important has shifted inside them. They know they are no longer the same person who spent years denying their feelings. They know they have crossed an emotional threshold. And once a person crosses that threshold, returning to ignorance becomes impossible. This message is for you. Every thought, every memory, every realization has been leading them toward the same destination. Acceptance. Acceptance that you left a lasting impact. Acceptance that the connection was meaningful. Acceptance that forgetting was never the solution. Acceptance that some people remain in our hearts because they help shape who we are. And now, as this acceptance grows stronger, another realization is beginning to emerge from the shadows. A realization that has the potential to change everything. Because after finally understanding why they cannot forget you, after finally admitting that the connection still matters, after finally accepting the truth they spent so long avoiding, your soulmate is beginning to ask themselves a question that feels impossible to ignore. If their heart has carried your memory through all this time, through all this distance, through all these changes, then perhaps there is still something unfinished between you that neither of you fully understand yet. And that possibility is becoming harder for them to dismiss with every passing day. Listen carefully because the possibility that something remains unfinished between you is no longer just a passing thought in your soulmate's mind. It is becoming a persistent feeling, one that returns again and again no matter how busy life becomes. This message is for you. Your soulmate has started noticing that whenever they try to imagine their future, somehow your presence appears in the picture. Not always in obvious ways. Not always in a way they can fully explain. But there is a feeling that follows them, a feeling that your story is somehow connected to chapters that have not yet been written. At first they dismissed it. They told themselves it was imagination. They told themselves it was wishful thinking. But the feeling kept returning. stronger, clearer, more impossible to ignore. Listen closely because something important is happening inside them. They are beginning to trust their feelings more than their fears. For a long time fear was the loudest voice. Fear told them to stay silent. Fear told them to avoid uncertainty. Fear told them that moving on was safer than seeking answers. But fear is losing its influence. Day by day. Thought by thought. Memory by memory. And as fear grows quieter, the truth becomes easier to hear. This message is for you. Your soulmate has started asking themselves questions they avoided for far too long. What if the connection was real? What if the emotions were real? What if the reason they could never forget you is because their heart recognized something valuable that their mind refused to understand? These questions are no longer theoretical. They feel personal, urgent, significant. Listen carefully because every answer they discover leads them back to the same conclusion. You were never ordinary to them. No matter how much time passed, no matter how many distractions appeared, no matter how many times they tried to convince themselves otherwise, your place in their heart remained different from everyone else's. This message is for you. There are moments when they suddenly stop and realize how many decisions were influenced by the connection they shared with you. Lessons they learned. Standards they developed. Dreams they created. Even personal growth they experienced. They are beginning to understand that your impact extended far beyond the moments you actually shared together. You became part of their inner world. Part of the way they view love. Part of the way they understand connection. Listen closely. This realization carries both comfort and sadness. Comfort because it confirms the importance of what they felt. Sadness because it reminds them how much time was spent denying it. Sometimes they wonder what would have happened if they had understood all of this sooner. Sometimes they wonder whether things would look different today. Sometimes they wonder whether silence stole opportunities that honesty could have created. This message is for you. The deeper they reflect, the more they realize that forgetting was never the goal. The goal was healing. The goal was understanding. The goal was becoming emotionally mature enough to recognize what truly mattered. And now they are reaching that place. Slowly but surely. Listen carefully because growth often arrives quietly. It does not always announce itself. Sometimes it appears through late-night reflections. Sometimes it appears through unexpected memories. Sometimes it appears through a single realization that changes everything. Your soulmate is experiencing exactly that kind of growth. The kind that transforms how a person sees their past. The kind that transforms how they see themselves. This message is for you. There was a time when they viewed your connection through the lens of loss. They focused on what was missing. What ended. What could not be changed. But now they are beginning to see it through a different lens. They are beginning to see it as something that shaped them. Something that taught them. Something that helped them become the person they are today. And once that perspective changed, their feelings changed too. Listen closely because this matters. Appreciation has started replacing regret. Understanding has started replacing confusion. Acceptance has started replacing resistance. These shifts may seem small, but they create powerful momentum. Momentum that moves a person toward truth. Momentum that moves a person toward honesty. Momentum that moves a person toward action. This message is for you. Your soulmate is becoming increasingly aware that some part of them still wants answers. Not because they are stuck in the past, but because unanswered questions naturally seek resolution. They want to know what was real. They want to know what was felt. They want to know whether the connection that continues living inside them still exists somewhere beyond their own heart. Listen carefully. Every day brings another reminder. A memory appears unexpectedly. A feeling resurfaces. A thought arrives without invitation. And every reminder strengthens the same realization. The connection mattered more than they ever admitted. It left a deeper impact than they ever acknowledged. It survived longer than they ever expected. This message is for you. Sometimes your soulmate catches themselves smiling at memories they once avoided. Moments that used to trigger confusion now bring warmth. Conversations that once felt unfinished now feel meaningful. Even the smallest details have gained new significance. They are beginning to understand that meaningful experiences do not disappear simply because time passes. Meaningful experiences become part of who we are. Listen closely because this understanding is changing their relationship with the past. Instead of running from it, they are learning from it. Instead of denying it, they are accepting it. Instead of fearing it, they are embracing it. And through that process, they are becoming more emotionally open than they have been in a very long time. This message is for you. The walls they built around their emotions were never meant to last forever. Those walls served a purpose for a season of their life. They provided protection. They provided distance. They provided temporary comfort. But walls eventually become prisons when they remain too long. And your soulmate is beginning to recognize that truth. They are beginning to understand that protecting their heart should not require hiding from it. Listen carefully because this realization is powerful. Once someone stops hiding from their own heart, they become capable of hearing what it has been trying to say all along. And what their heart has been saying is becoming impossible to ignore. It keeps returning to you. It keeps returning to the connection. It keeps returning to the possibility that something meaningful still exists beneath the surface. This message is for you. Your soulmate is standing in a season of awakening. A season where truths are revealing themselves one after another. A season where emotional clarity is replacing emotional confusion. A season where they can no longer pretend not to know what they know. And what they know is simple. You mattered. You matter. The connection mattered. The connection still matters. Listen closely because every realization is preparing them for something greater. Awareness is creating courage. Courage is creating honesty. Honesty is creating possibility. And possibility is opening doors they once believed were permanently closed. They may not know exactly what comes next. They may not have every answer yet. But they know they cannot return to the version of themselves that denied the truth. That version is disappearing. This message is for you. There is a growing sense inside them that life brought your paths together for a reason. Maybe they do not fully understand that reason yet. Maybe some pieces of the puzzle remain hidden. But the feeling persists. The feeling that your story carried purpose. The feeling that your connection carried meaning. The feeling that your presence in their life was never random. Listen carefully because the next realization may be the biggest one yet. For so long they focused on why they could not forget you. Then they focused on understanding the connection. Now they are beginning to focus on something entirely different. They are beginning to focus on what their heart truly wants. Not what fear wants. Not what pride wants. Not what doubt wants. What their heart wants. And as they listen more closely, the answer becomes clearer with every passing day. The answer is not forgetting. The answer is not denial. The answer is not pretending. The answer is truth. Complete truth. Honest truth. The kind of truth that changes lives. And as that truth grows stronger inside them, they are beginning to sense that a moment is approaching. A moment when wondering may no longer be enough. A moment when silence may no longer feel comfortable. A moment when the feelings they spent so long understanding will demand to be expressed. Because now that they finally understand why they could never forget you, now that they finally accept the impact you had on their life, now that they finally recognize the connection for what it truly was, they are standing closer than ever before to a decision that could change the entire direction of this story, and deep down, they can feel that the chapter ahead may be unlike anything either of you expected. Listen carefully because everything your soulmate has been learning, feeling, remembering, and understanding has been leading to this final realization. This message is for you. The journey was never really about forgetting. It was never about moving on. It was never about erasing memories or pretending the connection did not exist. The journey was about understanding why your presence remained so powerful long after they thought it would fade. And now, after all this reflection, after all these moments of honesty, after all these nights spent questioning their heart, they finally understand something that changes everything. They understand that some people enter your life to teach lessons, and some people enter your life to change you forever. You changed them forever. Listen closely because this truth is no longer something they can deny. Every experience they have had since then has only confirmed it. Every attempt to replace the feeling only revealed how unique it truly was. Every effort to forget only proved how deeply it lived inside them. And now they are no longer asking why your memory remains. They know the answer. Your memory remains because it became part of who they are. This message is for you. Your soulmate has realized that life kept moving, seasons kept changing, and years continued passing, yet one thing never completely disappeared. The thought of you. Not every hour. Not every day. But always somewhere beneath the surface. Like a quiet melody that never stopped playing. Like a story whose final chapter was never written. Like a question that kept waiting for an answer. Listen carefully. There were moments when they thought they had finally let everything go. Moments when they believed they were finished looking back. But then something would happen. A memory would return. A familiar feeling would appear. A dream would bring your presence back into focus. And suddenly they would realize that the connection was still alive inside them. Not because they wanted it to be. Not because they planned for it to be. But because some things cannot be forced to disappear when they carry real meaning. This message is for you. The greatest lesson they have learned is that the heart remembers what truly matters. It remembers the people who changed its direction. It remembers the moments that created growth. It remembers the connections that revealed something important about life and love. And when your soulmate looks honestly at their journey, they see your influence everywhere. In the standards they now have. In the wisdom they gained. In the way they understand relationships. In the person they have become. Listen closely because this realization brings peace. For a long time they fought against their feelings. For a long time they treated their emotions like something that needed to be fixed. For a long time they believed forgetting was the only way forward. But now they know better. They know that healing does not always mean forgetting. Sometimes healing means understanding. Sometimes healing means accepting. Sometimes healing means honoring a connection for what it was and recognizing the impact it had. This message is for you. Your soulmate is no longer afraid of what they feel. They are no longer afraid of the memories. They are no longer afraid of the truth. Instead, they are embracing it. They are accepting that you will always hold a special place in their story. They are accepting that the connection mattered. They are accepting that some people become unforgettable not because of what happened, but because of how deeply they touched the soul. Listen carefully because this is where everything becomes clear. The reason they could never forget you was never a mystery. The reason was love in its purest form. Not necessarily perfect love. Not necessarily easy love. But meaningful love. Transformative love. The kind of love that leaves a person different from who they were before. The kind of love that continues teaching lessons long after circumstances change. This message is for you. As they look back now, they no longer see only questions. They see growth. They see understanding. They see purpose. They see a connection that shaped their life in ways they never fully appreciated until now. And because of that, they feel gratitude. Gratitude for every conversation. Gratitude for every lesson. Gratitude for every memory. Gratitude for every moment that brought them closer to understanding their own heart. Listen closely because this final realization is the most important one of all. Your soulmate finally understands that forgetting you was never their destiny. Understanding you was. Appreciating you was. Learning from the connection was. And now that they have reached that understanding, they are stepping into a new chapter with a completely different perspective. A perspective built on honesty instead of denial. A perspective built on truth instead of fear. A perspective built on acceptance instead of resistance. This message is for you. Whether your paths cross again or whether life continues unfolding in unexpected ways, one thing is now certain. Your soulmate will never again question why they could not forget you. They know the answer. They know because every road led back to the same truth. You mattered. The connection mattered. The impact mattered. And some truths become stronger with time instead of weaker. Listen carefully because this is the final message. Somewhere inside your soulmate, there is no longer confusion. There is no longer denial. There is only clarity. The clarity that comes when a person finally listens to their heart. The clarity that comes when a person stops running from what they feel. The clarity that comes when a person finally accepts that certain people leave footprints on the soul that can never be erased. And as they move forward, carrying everything they have learned, everything they have felt, and everything they now understand, they know one thing with absolute certainty: the reason they could never forget you was because a part of their heart never truly wanted to. And that truth, after all this time, has finally set them free.